5 things I hate about plumbing. Guys, I've been a plumber for over 44 years and I love it. But there are 5 things that I really hated, and I want to show you how I overcame them. Number 1 is the work environment. Now, when I was a commercial plumber, I remember one day, and I'm going to start off by telling you this right here. I hate working out in the cold. And I was up on the 5th floor of a building that it was actually going to be an investment firm building. And it was snowing and the wind was blowing so hard. And I remember I had on my coveralls and we were trying to install a bunch of overhead pipe for roof drains and overflow drains. And I got to tell you, this was probably one of the most miserable days I've ever had at work. I said right then, one day I'm going to get into the office. I don't ever want to be out here where I've got to stay here all day, every day. And it was miserable. But the thing is, we got a lot done that day. We had the opportunity. We could go home. At the time, I couldn't afford to go home. So I want you to think about that too. Put yourself in a position where you can afford to take time off when you really want to. Luckily, the superintendent said, look, anybody who doesn't want to work today doesn't have to. He knew the production wasn't going to be there. It was freezing outside. Literally, I remember standing on the floor and the wind is blowing so hard that it is snowing sideways across the floor while we're working. Now, we had on thick gloves. We had on coveralls. We were using a lot of the Black Swan on these no-hub bands. And by the time my day was done, my coveralls were covered in all these little black stains. And those don't come out. Now, don't get me wrong. Things have changed a lot. Literally, you can get the thinnest undergarments now that keep you extremely warm. And if you're going to put yourself in a position where you've got to work outside in elements like that, I highly recommend it. So when it comes to me looking back at 45 years in the trade, to be honest, the elements are probably one of my worst things. It's kind of tough to handle. Number 2, it's hard on your body. And I get that. I understand it. My body is probably not in the best shape in the world, but I do take care of it. So I want you to think about this. If you're in the trades, or if you're thinking about getting into the trades, you want to think about how do you take care of your body? You eat good, you work out, you exercise, you do different things. Take your vitamins, take your supplements, do the things that you need to do to take care of your body. One of the big ones is don't overwork your body. I've told a lot of you before about throwing 6-inch cast iron on my shoulder and walking up a ladder, 6-foot ladder, I believe, and feeding this pipe into some clevis hangers. Guys, that's how we used to do it. Nowadays, we've got scissor lifts that have pipe racks built on the deck so you can lift with that and just slide it right where it goes. Work smarter, not harder. And every time you're in a position to strain your body, ask yourself, is there a better way to do this? Because if you'll learn these ways and you'll implement these ways, it'll definitely make your life easier, and it'll make it where you can work in the trades longer if you so choose. But also it'll make it where your body doesn't hurt near as bad as it can when you're 60 or 70 years old. Number 3, and this one I think is sad. For most people in the trades, there's not a retirement plan. If you ask most plumbers, their retirement plan is, I'm going to work till I die. And I hate that for them. When I got into the union, I actually started putting money in my 401k. And of course, you're in the union, you're building your pension plan. So look at it and think about it and figure out, what do you want to do when you retire? And think about it from the beginning. I used to teach first-year apprentices whenever I was in the union. Every year, you get like 3 raises. And I'd tell them, over the next 5 years of your apprenticeship, each pick one of the raises, but each time you get that raise, instead of taking it on your check, put it in your 401k. If you'll put $1 each year into your 401k, by the time you're through with your apprentice training program, you're putting over $10,000 a year in your retirement. And that's yours. That's your 401k. You have access to that. You control where it gets invested. Here lately, mine's been making 25%. You can't complain about that. Now I am looking at taking all my pension out, all my 401k out, and rolling it over in gold and silver and things that I can control. So as long as you're putting money up and you have access to it and you can control it, you can do what you want with it. So think about that and remember it, because There's too many people out there that don't have a retirement plan. And if you really want a good retirement plan, you might want to look at the union. That is one thing that they've got set up pretty well. Number 5, and I hate to say this, but a lot of people in the trades are idiots. Here's the deal. They live check to check. They make good money, but they blow it. Literally, I've seen guys get paid $2,000 on Friday, and when they come in Monday, they're like, hey, man, can I borrow some lunch money? Now, they'll give it back to you next Friday because they know Monday when they come in, they may need it again. How can you bring home $2,000 and not have lunch money on Monday? Now, I mentioned the retirement plan a while ago. A lot of these guys, if they're in the union, and look, union guys do it too. They live check to check. Don't live above your means. A lot of people in the trades also, they quit learning, and I was guilty of that. Once I became a professional plumber, once I had my license, I didn't learn anything for about, 15 years. I want you to think about that. Because once I started learning different endorsements for my license, so I learned MedGas, multi-purpose residential fire protection systems, and water protection specialist. So once I started learning things like that, then I started learning construction management. I started learning leadership skills. I started learning personalities and communication. The more you learn, the more you grow. And the more you grow, the more you can earn. So understand, I was one of those people too. But you can make a change. All you've got to do is start learning and then start growing. And number 5, it's a shitty job. Okay, I said it. It is what it is. But you have to deal with other people's shit, both literally and figuratively. Now, the literal part, you don't do it very often. People always tell me that I can't get into plumbing because you've got to touch other people's poop all the time. No, you don't. It's very seldom. But figuratively, you got to deal with other people's poop a whole lot more than you want to. So what I can tell you is it really doesn't matter what trade you're in or what job you're in. Figuratively, you're going to have to deal with customers. That can be the worst part of every job, but then again, it can also be the best part. Now, I started this out telling you about me being in the trades for over 44 years. It's almost 45 now. And I got to tell you, even though there's things about it I hate, I love the trades. I love what I get to do. I love that I get to do it every day. Even though I shoot videos, I'm still out here working in the trades. I'm still working on plumbing, thinking about plumbing, and trying to make plumbing better. So whatever you do, don't not get into a trade because of things that you can hate. Just understand that those things are going to be there, and you can find a way to work around them.